What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Double A Hef here. So, I'm sure many of you have watched the fight last night and or watched like the highlights that normally get released minutes after the fights are done. And obviously that's the talk of the town right now, amongst many different levels of quote-unquote boxing fans. So I'm making this video as like a aftermath or like a recap, okay? Now, first and foremost, I do understand that there are a lot, and I mean a lot of people that call themselves quote-unquote boxing fans or combat sport fans. But in that demographic, the majority of them, I would say, not all, but most, don't understand the sweet science of boxing. And you can tell by how they speak about it and stuff like that. For instance, the day before the fight, actually, no, I think it was the day of the fight. So I'm in a Facebook group for this sports podcast called Chop Sports. It's actually a pretty cool group of guys that, they talk sports, like, sports talk show podcast, but without all that, corporate stuff. Like, you get tired sometimes of the ESPNs and the First Takes and all these guys and their antics and shit like that. So, it's actually pretty cool. So if anyone's interested in looking up a new sports podcast, do check them out, Chop Sports. But anyway, some guy in that group, he's not affiliated with Chop Sports, but he's in the Facebook group for Chop Sports, as well as other people are. He made a post about the fight and saying all this other stuff. So I pretty much said to him, and that was pretty much my prediction on the fight that I did in the last video I did regarding this, which is, first and foremost, like, this is cake work for Floyd. One, all right. Second, he'll be lucky if he doesn't get seriously injured during the fight. That's what I told the guy. And the guy came back with, some fake fan nonsense. And I was like, all right, obviously this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because no matter what the weight difference is, the height difference, you don't think Floyd Mayweather ever sparred against taller, bigger people? It's funny to me how these people, like, oh man, he's like got like 6 inches on him and shit like that. What's interesting is he had like 6 inches on him, right? But the reach variance is only about like 1.5 inches, which goes to show you if you didn't already know, Floyd Mayweather has long ass arms for his stature, which obviously has helped him vastly through his career. Because if he has arms the size of a guy that's 6'2", and he's fighting a bunch of freaking 5'8", 5'7" guys, then obviously one would expect Floyd to have the advantage when it comes to reach. And then also when you pair that with his superb defensive skill, then it's, that's why I hit the man 50 and up. But anyway, of a bunch of those guys, he's taller, he's stronger and shit like that. It's like, dude, you don't, like, this guy's been quote-unquote boxing for 2 years, man. 2 years. Floyd's been boxing his whole fucking life. It's like, it's a skill. It's not just like, you just go and fucking do it. Oh, he could do it, I could do it. No, it's not. No. It takes a whole lot of time to master that. Like, analogize it to like Star Wars. Floyd would be a fucking Jedi Master, like, on a level of a goddamn Yoda, Mace Windu. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where he's at. And Logan Paul, deadass, was a Padawan. Not even Anakin when he like grew up and still was a Padawan. I mean Padawan, youngling Padawan. That's what Logan Paul was. So that's what that fight was. It was a fight against Mace Windu or Yoda, whoever the fuck you choose, right? Versus youngling Anakin Padawan. Okay? That's what that was. So anyone that understands boxing, the sweet science, and understands everything that goes into it, we already knew. Like, I knew, well, also, too, you watched the fight, you saw that Logan was gassed. Now, that kind of threw me off because you're getting in the ring with a Floyd Mayweather. You had a lot of time. I mean, honestly, if I was him, my camp would have just been conditioning, and well, actually, mainly just like conditioning, because there's not much more that you were gonna learn boxing wise, from when they found out about the fight, because like, look, the dude lost his legs early. He lost his hand. First of all, he never really had his hands. I'm not sure if that was him just trying to, like, showboat and stuff like that. But his hands were never up, and like I said, Floyd could have freaking really, really hurt that kid if he wanted to. And I'm gonna get into why Floyd didn't later. But the kid's hands were down, so obviously he needed to do more conditioning drills. He also needed to do some more drills with just keeping his fucking hands up, the weighted drills, stuff like that. He did use the jab a lot, which is great, which is crazy because Mr. Deontay Wilder, former heavyweight champion, is not fond of using that goddamn jab. So he should take a fucking page out of Logan Paul's book for his next fight against Tyson Fury and work that fucking jab to set up the right and learn how to go box going backwards. But anyway, back to the Logan Paul fight. So obviously, after the third round, it became like a walk down fest, when Floyd just fucking walks him down. And it's crazy because, all these people talk about, oh, he's so big, but he's getting walked down by a guy that's 5'8", like literally just walked down. There's no surprise in that quote unquote match for me. It went exactly how I expected it to go. I know a lot of people were clamoring for the knockout or the knockdown. And in my opinion, I never thought that was going to happen because there's more to gain by the fight going the way it went. And I mean by that, if Floyd gets knocked down, obviously, but first of all, if he would have got knocked down, it would have been because, like, he took like a quote unquote dive, and then obviously people are going to start to question the integrity of the fight. Second, if Logan got not knocked down, then it's not that good as opposed to him not getting knocked down, because now he has that Rocky energy going on right now. You know what I mean? Oh, I did it, Adrian, I did it. You know what I mean? He's got that going on right now. And if he would have, maybe if he would have got knocked down, it would have been more theatrical. But I think that they again didn't want to have the integrity of the match be questioned. So again, I didn't see a knockout coming, because again, it's all about the money, and you stand to make more money off him if you don't knock him out if you're Floyd Mayweather, because you can still use him going forward, and then obviously set up future fights or round second fights or fight against his brother or stuff like that. But if Floyd would have just went in there and did what he could have done to him in there, that fight would have been over, and less than 2 rounds, literally less than 2 rounds, he could have fucking annihilated that guy. But again, so Floyd, in my opinion, didn't annihilate him or knock him out because, there's more money to be made with him not being knocked out. So all in all, was the fight entertaining? Yeah, I would say so, because you never seen, most people never seen Floyd in the ring with a guy that size. So that was cool for the optics. And then obviously Logan, I was mainly trying to see what Logan was going to do. As you could tell, obviously, once the legs went, then the fight was pretty much over. He was lock-kneed in the corners and shit like that, hands by his knees, you know what I mean? But before that, he was, utilizing the jab. He was feinting. He had an array of different punches that he was throwing. He definitely worked the clinch well, wisely. So that that was a good takeaway. Some negatives about his boxing game. You can tell that he still has a lot to work on when it comes to the fundamentals, because there are various points where he threw not what I would call non-boxing punches, and they were just wild as hell. And all they do is pretty much take your fucking energy away. They drain the shit out of you, and they're very ineffective. Okay, so he needs to work on that. But because Floyd didn't knock him the fuck out, he didn't put out that fire within Logan, So now Logan, I'm sure, will continue on his boxing journey, as well as his brother, which is good, which is good. Because, again, it is good for the sport. You know, anything that's bringing attention and money. Like, I'm not sure who made this saying, but is true. You know, there's no such thing as bad publicity. You know, and I'll add a little bit to it. As long as you know what to do with it. You know, if you don't know how to manipulate negative publicity, then obviously, you know, it could be detrimental to you and whatever you're trying to achieve. But, you know, if you know how to, you know, turn water into wine, then you'll be fine. And I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Not that last part. I didn't mean to make any of that rhyme, but you get what I'm trying to say. So all in all, it was entertaining. Logan did show some heart. And after the fight, obviously, you know, he thanked Lloyd and showed a lot of, you know, he was very humble. So that's always a good thing to see. So again, you know, I'm very interested to see some future fights with these guys. You know, and then let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you think about the fight. Let me know what you think about the maybe if he fights the brother. Let me know what you think about predictions for the Tyson Fury Wilder fight. Like I already said in my last video about that, I think that Fury is going to beat Wilder again, because even in that fight, like the first fight, like I said, Fury was whooping that ass. And again, you know, I get it. A lot of people don't understand boxing to the degree that I do, so they don't. You know, it's like watching two different fucking things. But I get that. But in that first fight, it wasn't even close. I mean, you take away the 2 knockdowns, and you don't even have to take away the 2 knockdowns. Even with the 2 knockdowns, he was still getting outboxed the whole time. But then again, you know, Wilder is not a good boxer in my opinion. You know, he's just not a good boxer. He's a pure natural fucking athlete with raw ass fucking power. That's what he is. And I'm not trying to knock the guy or anything like that. I'm just calling like I see it. You know, I can't call him a boxer like I would call Floyd Mayweather a boxer. You know what I mean? Like he just they're not on the same level at all. And neither is he in a Tyson Fury. So yeah, first fight was not even close. The second fight, obviously, we all know how that went. And I believe the third fight would be very resemblant because again, there's just certain things, like there's matchups, man. You know what I mean? Like there's fucking matchups in any sport. Certain team goes up against a certain team. That team just has their number because of the matchups. And that team could be a trash team, but because they just match up well against other team, then they just beat the shit out of them. You know, the same things apply. Tyson Fury is just a tough matchup for Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder does not possess the skills that he needs to get the job done, in my opinion. All right, he doesn't utilize the jab enough. He doesn't know how to set up his right hand. You know, he needs to. What he could do, I guess, is take a few pages out of the what's that guy's name? Roy Jones book, or even the Floyd Mayweather book. You know, and work on counterpunching. You know, something like that. Just to be able to get the right hand off, or whatever, or just get some easier fucking some blows in there. No homo. So and also learn how to fight going backwards. You know, because once he starts going backwards, he's got nothing. He's literally got nothing, and that's why he was getting fucking mollywopped all over the ring by Tyson Fury. So, you know, I'm very interested to see what changes he makes. Obviously, we know that he fired Mark Breland after the second fight, and he has a new training crew. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to implement. But again, like I said, I'm not sure if there's enough time for him to learn what he really needs to learn to stand a chance against the Tyson Fury. Now, obviously, whenever Deontay Wilder's in the ring with anybody, he has a puncher's chance. And it's interesting because even in this fight with Logan Paul Mayweather, everyone kept saying, well, you know, he has a puncher's chance. And honestly, no. Because we don't have to discuss puncher's chances. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, there's always a quote-unquote chance. But no, Logan Paul, he didn't really have a puncher's chance because we knew that Floyd Mayweather was not going to allow it to happen. He's got too much at risk, whether that fight counted on his record or not, okay? Number one. Number two, no, Wilder has a puncher's chance. That's a fucking puncher's chance. You know what I mean? Like, that's a likely, like, just ask Luis Ortiz. Because that's another one. Luis Ortiz was beating fucking Deontay Wilder's ass in both fights. Both fights, just outboxing him. He's a better boxer. And then, and speaking of which, I think that Southpaw was actually giving Wilder some issue. And I'm pretty sure Fury can switch stances. But he doesn't have to, clearly, going against Deontay Wilder. But needless to say, I think it's going to be an interesting fight, that one. Hopefully it lasts longer than the last one. And this Logan Mayweather fight was a good one. It wasn't, it was exactly what the fuck it's supposed to be. It's an exhibition. And that's what it looked like. That's what it was. Floyd had fun out there, and he pretty much schooled this guy. He schooled him for 8 rounds and gave him a fucking great crash course lesson in boxing that is going to just propel Logan Paul at the end of the day. He literally got a master class in boxing. So he should be very thankful for that, and the viewing public should be very thankful for that. But anyway, that's it, y'all.